It is 7:30 WTRE on this Tuesday morning. Greensburg School Superintendent Tomm Hunter back in. I'm going to guess, so he didn't do a whole lot of a spring break other than in the office getting things done. Would that be a good guess?
That was a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
Yep. It's always nice to have a couple weeks there where just the day-to-day operations you don't have to deal with, so you can get some of the special projects that you needed to get done. And our maintenance department was very, very busy over those 2 weeks getting ready for spring activities and then some little projects we had. So Tim and I did a lot of oversight of things that were going on the last 2 weeks. So it was busy, but still at a little bit slower pace, and going to the office at 7:30 instead of 5:30, so that makes a big difference. But,
I was going to say, that's late for you, 7:30, isn't it, for going to the office?
Yeah, well, it's 2 weeks that get to relax a little bit. No real big things going on. So hopefully all of the kids and teachers and parents had a chance to also relax over those 2 weeks and get ready for this final push, because we got 8 weeks now, and this school year will be history. So those 8 weeks go by really, really fast.
So when you look at things coming up, I know there are a number, obviously, with the spring of sports getting ready to start, or maybe training underway and maybe started already. But now we're into the season where the weather is so impactful of, I think, about everything, isn't it?
I think after today, you look at the rest of the week, and it really, literally, it could be a wash, because we've got heavy rains predicted over the next 3 days and even into the weekend. So you're going to have a continuous week of rain almost. It kind of makes tough times to get anything done. But yeah, we are in the spring, ready for the spring sports that all do require outside activities. So, the weather plays a really big factor there. We got baseball and softball, of course, both opening up last week with scrimmage games and their first games. And then we got tennis and track and field will be started here really quick, and excuse me, and then boys golf. So everything we have is outside. Great though to go by the high school at 3 o'clock and just see all of the kids that are actively involved in something out there on our fields, and just super. Probably have a couple hundred kids. Definitely when we have junior high kids up there with track, there's 200-300 kids out there on our different diamonds and track and football field, and just great to see that.
Yeah, it's about everywhere you turn, you're going to see some activity taking place.
And was saying that, when you do come onto the campus between 3 and 5:30, 6 o'clock, please be careful, because there are a lot of kids out there doing a lot of different activities, and they're not always paying attention. So make sure when you're in that car that you're paying attention when you go through the campus, because there literally might be a kid who runs out in front of you. So, please just be careful.
Okay.
Would say also those who come and watch softball and games in particular, please don't park along the drive up to the softball diamonds. We have a parking lot over there. You can park down at the soccer fields. You can park over at the elementary school and walk over. But there's usually plenty of parking there at the softball fields. And please do not park along the sides there on Lehman Way. That is a fire drive. So don't impede any emergency vehicles who may need to get up and down to the elementary school there on Lehman Way. So just please use one of the parking facilities and leave that roadway clear.
So has that tended to be a problem in the past?
The last game, there are cars lined up all along. Usually it's not as a problem. We'll have the coaches say something to parents and so forth. Understand, a lot of people don't want to walk, but, we can all use a little exercise. So maybe take those few hundred yards to walk into the facility so that we can keep everything safe for everybody out there.
Okay. So, any kind of legislative update this morning?
Oh, there's a lot of things going on. I just thought, these last 2 weeks that it's gonna be different when we sit down this summer and start working on the budget, because there's going to be a lot of unknowns, even probably from the federal side. When we look at possibility of the Department of Ed at the federal level being dissolved. That all may sound good to some people, but there's a lot of different things that we rely upon the federal government to provide. That if they don't, where's the even revenue? Not only just direction that we get, but the revenue that comes from the federal government to our schools. Where's that going to come from? Right now we get about a little over $600,000 from the federal government for our special ed programs. Those go directly to providing teachers for our special ed students, and that doesn't even come close to covering the total costs. We're already, spending much more than $600,000 for those teachers. But boy, you take another $600,000 cut, which probably isn't going to happen, but it could. And then we get about $400,000 in Title I, and that's for our low-income students to provide remediation programs and other things for our most needy kids. So you just take the two of those together, there's $1 million that we get in federal funding every year to help with our school district. We can't afford to lose $1 million. If we do, then we're going to have to cut staff, we're going to have to cut programs. We're just not going to be able to provide the things that we provide now to our kids. And then we get about another $100,000 in Title II, which provides for all the professional development that we do across the district. Also provides some incentive programs for our teachers. So those monies are very well needed. Those are the only monies that we have to provide for any type of professional development for our staff. Then even when we look at our Title IV funds, which are used to provide extra services for ELL students, that doesn't even come close to providing even the salaries for 2 people that are involved with those students. But that take away $30,000, you're taking away another half of a teacher's salary. You can put it that way. So altogether, we're looking at about $1.1 million a year that we get from those federal funds. So, if you do talk to legislators, please just, emphasize the fact that, that we've got to have that federal funding, whether it's directly through the Department of Education or whether it's passed on to the state. And sometimes when things like that get passed on to the state, they go into block grants. And then it's all put into one big fund, and then it doesn't always go where it needs to go. Those special ed funds we need for special ed. We have about 8% of our kids that are involved in special ed programs, and those are expensive programs. Very small class sizes for the most part with our special ed kids, and a lot of very specific programs that we have to provide. So, I'd say as far as things that I'm really been looking at over the last few weeks is, what's going to be the impact from the federal government with the revenue that we get. Even our lunch program, our breakfast and lunch program, we get about $500,000, a little bit over $500,000 a year that is subsidized through the federal government for our lunch and breakfast program. If we don't get those monies, then those costs have to be passed on to our parents. And it costs enough to send your child to school every day, even when you're not looking at the old book fees and things like that parents had to pay. Just paying for lunch every day is can be a huge expense when you have 3 or 4 kids in school. And you add that up over a month or over the year, that's a lot. It'd be a lot more expensive if we didn't get some of those costs, bolstered up by the federal dollars that we get through the lunch and breakfast program. So emphasize the need for local communities to receive those funds, and it make sure that they go directly where they need to go, not into a coffer at the state level that we may not see them where we really need them. There are still a lot of different bills that are out there, pass over from one house to the other. Some bills have already gone to the governor's desk, I know, but when we look at the main bills that we've been looking at, I'm just going to go down through here and talk about each one. There's literally a lot more than this, but these are the ones that really are going to potentially impact Greensburg schools. House Bill 1001, that is the main budget bill, and the big thing we're looking at there is a proposal out there for $183 million over the next 2 years to go to further expand vouchers and charters and all the non-public schools, and that $183 million could be used by our public schools, definitely. So that's something that we really have to keep an eye on. It's going to happen. I mean, it's just to what extent. There's no stopping the whole universal voucher program or slowing down the charter movement. There's just the national movement we have now to expand the privatization of schools, and so we just need to make sure that in funding those that we still fund our public schools. Where remember, 90% of the kids still go to public schools across the country and in the state of Indiana. So, the majority of kids go to public schools, just like the majority of those legislators that are making those decisions went to a public school. Mm-hmm. And they seem to all be doing okay. And I think that's the case of you and I. We're both sitting here. We're both products of Decatur County schools. Mm-hmm. Greensburg and South Decatur seem to do a pretty good job for us and a lot of other people I know in our community that have gone to public schools. So just it's just tough when you just see the emphasis going away from our public schools. Because you look here in the county, Greensburg schools is still a centerpiece for what goes on in our community. North Decatur, centerpiece what goes on out there in the county. South Decatur, centerpiece of what's going on in that part of the county. You start taking those things away, and communities start getting in trouble. People don't want to live in those communities, whether they be small communities like that feed into North Decatur, South Decatur, or communities that feed into Greensburg. So we just hate to see things that are happening that are going to impact our schools. A real good example of that is we've talked about the JAG program. I know you've had kids mm-hmm. in here talking about the JAG program. We had about 35 kids involved in it at Greensburg High School this year. Next year, we had 80 kids that signed up to be part of the JAG program. And Jessica Barker's done a tremendous job promoting that and doing the things to help kids be more successful when they leave the high school through that program. And this year, it looked like we were going to have 2 teachers. We were approved by the state to have another teacher to be involved in JAG, because remember, it is a program that not only follows the kids through the school year, but also after graduation and into the summer, and a lot of different activities with that. So you can only have so many kids if you're one person. So we were looking at possibility of having another JAG teacher. Well, now I get a phone call over break that program may not be funded next year at all. So, it's one of the most successful programs that we've had in public schools. It's been expanded tremendously across the state, not just here in Greensburg. And now we're looking at that program possibly not being funded next year. And again, the monies that were going to go to JAG are going to be put in a block grant, are going to be opened up to a lot of other different things than just the JAG program. So we'll have to see, we'll have to see where that goes. Hopefully the monies that are needed to fund that program will still be there. We'll just have to see, and I'll still want to make sure that we can offer the program at least in the format that it is right now to our kids at the high school, because I do think it has tremendous value, and it's tough to give up on a program that you can see success and just in the faces of the kids that are involved in it. But that's one thing we always have to keep an eye on.
So, Tom, on charter schools, I saw on the news where in Ohio that a charter school just up and closed. So the kids were on spring break. Originally, I guess this charter school planned to close at the end of the year, but it ended up just closing. So
that happens. I mean, that happens every year.
it was
Sometimes
just kind of
it's
like
not even
what do those students do?
right. Sometimes it's not even at a break. They just they close. And so what happens is usually those kids will either go to another charter school that might be available, or they'll go back to the public school that they came from. But that whole accountability of providing for the whole year, evidently just it isn't there, and they have the ability just to close their doors. Our doors are never closed. We are we're available for our kids 180 days a year, and that's not going to change for us. We're not going to, because of any reason, we're not going to be closing our doors. So we have no control over that. I guess the state has, whether it be Ohio or Indiana or whatever, they have some control. But once that school does close, then the kids have to find somewhere else to go.
But then you look at if that would be a case in Indiana and they had received dollars that followed the student, then those dollars,
they don't follow them back to the public school. So, I don't know what, it's just like, we know that there's been multiple instances over the last few years of charter schools that we can question where millions of dollars went with those charters when they closed, or the numbers that they claimed that they were enrolled with. I mean, there's been some corruption involved with charters, as I'm sure other people would say there's corruption involved in public schools as well. But like I said, I don't know the last time a public school closed its door. It hasn't happened in the 45 years I know in Indiana that I've been involved in public education. We're going to be open every day for our kids, and we should be. But some other things we're looking at, House Bill 1002 is important to education, because there is some deregulation of some of the rules that have been set forth over, particularly probably the last decade. Some things that might be outdated, getting rid of some of those rules that we have to follow. Good example is like there's all kinds of training that we have to provide to staff members, and some of it's a little bit outdated, and some of those types of training is going to be reduced, or maybe even rather than being annually, it might have to be done every 2 years or 3 years. So there's some deregulation that's going to take place, and that's probably a good thing. The House bill that everyone's been watching all year long is at House Bill 1136, and that's where they were going to dissolve IPS and Gary schools in particular. There's a couple other schools involved there, but dissolve those school districts. And I think that's pretty much died as of right now. It may show back up again. We always worry about that. I call it the 13th hour bill. Right before the session closes, there's some things that get hooked on to bills, and nobody really even knows about it until they become law on July 1st, and then we have to deal with the repercussions from that. But it looks like that bill is going to die. Another bill that's been out there all year long is House Bill 1201 on chronic absenteeism, defining it more clearly. I don't know what impact that's really going to have on chronic absenteeism. I mean, really, for the most part, I've said it all along, it's a parent issue more than a school issue. you got to get your kid up and get them to school every day. Get up, go to work every day, get up, get your kid to school every day. That pretty much takes care of the chronic absenteeism. Sounds simple, but it's not. And we're like every other school district in the country. We have some kids that we battle every single day, and that's all we can do. There's no magic that we can sprinkle on things and get every kid to school every single day. But I think we do as good a job as we possibly can in doing our part in making sure the kids are in school every day. When it comes down to it, though, that's a parent thing. We want to say, parents need to have more say in everything. Well, the biggest say they need to have is in getting your child to school every day. So evidently some parents don't want that to be their issue. They want that to be the school issue. And we can't come and drag them out of bed and feed them and get them in the classroom. So we need a lot of help with that. And we do have a lot of help from our parents in our school district. It's much bigger problem, I know, in some school districts than it is in Greensburg, but we'll keep an eye on that, and however they define it, that's how we'll report it. So we'll always be concerned about absenteeism, because you can't learn if you're not there. And that's the case now and always has been. The other big issues in the House bill is like House Bill 1230. That's the partisan school board member bill.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird. I think we've talked about this before. It's not really an issue in Greensburg. We have a partisan school board.
Mm-hmm.
Our appointees. There's 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and 1 can be either party. In the 45 years that I've been involved in education here in the community, and the 25 as superintendent, I've never seen anything come up in our district that is, Republican Democrat issue.
Mm-hmm.
Our issues are kids, and that's no matter whether it's a partisan school board or not. I think if you get good people on your board, like we've been fortunate enough to have, they make the issue be about kids, not about politics, and that usually takes care of all of those concerns. I know one of the things, we've since COVID, we haven't had to deal with the school letter grades and all of the accountability issues that we've had to deal with in the past, but it looks like those are probably going to be addressed in this session. House Bill 1498 deals with the school accountability, the letter grades. Also, we have bills out there on evaluation of staff and all of those things. Those things are always going to be out there. Probably every year there's somebody who's bringing some new best practice, for school districts to evaluate their teachers and administrators and so forth. One of the things in House Bill 1499 is all of the building level administrators at the elementary level, they're all going to have an endorsement in literacy. Not really a problem for us because our administrators have those endorsements already. So, that's one of those things that may cause some problems for some people, but probably not a bad idea. I mean, if you're at an elementary principal, you probably ought to understand all of the principles involved in literacy. So, good thing there. House Bill 1500 is on dealing with the teacher appreciation grants that the extra stipends that we're able to give to teachers. Going to be a little bit more money, but it's going to be some more limitations put on it. We're not sure exactly what it's going to look like, but we do know that there will be some more limitations put on the teachers who receive those funds. So we'll keep an eye on that. We do have, the Senate bills that are out there as well. Senate Bill 1, that is a whole property tax relief bill. Don't really know where that's going. Probably do know that it is going to impact, our funding. We're probably going to be looking at $100,000 to $200,000 reduction this year. probably $200,000-300,000 next year, and then the third year probably upwards of $500,000. So that's probably going to happen. Not as bad as what the first proposal was, which really over that 3-year period would cost us, about $3.5 million. So that again would be cataclysmic to us. We'll have to deal with hopefully the implications of whatever that reduction in is going to be. So we'll see where that's going, but that's a very important one. Those are probably the biggest bills that are out there. I mean, there's a lot of other Senate bills that are still out there, and some things probably in the next few weeks will be sent to the governor's desk to see where he's going to go with it, and hopefully this session will end as quickly as possible.
Well, it's April's often ticking as of today, so.
Oh, it's today, April 1st.
Yeah.
Huh.
No kidding.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, watch out. Watch out for those tricks today.
There's probably a few April Fool's jokes out there, isn't there? Yeah.
I'm gonna guess so.
Well, I think one of the things is as a public, keep updated on those bills, and those that affect you. Our local legislators, again, Gene Lysing is our senator here in Decatur County, and Jennifer Meltzer, Lindsey Patterson, and Alex Zimmerman. All of them are our representatives, and they're all there to listen, and they're all good people. They want to do the right thing, and we've got good communication with any of them, and if you have concerns, contact them. That's how our system works.
Plus, you can also go online, too, and watch some of those things we're talking about, those sessions from the Indiana General Assembly. So anybody who wants to plug into those, they can.
Yep, you can. And just like I know around the state, a lot of the politicians have been having hall meetings, town hall meetings, as they call them, and some of them have not gone real well. We've had some different things here in town, and I'm always appreciative that it's very civil. We can have good communication with our legislators. We want to keep it that way. Not too many things are accomplished in a shouting match. So I've always been very impressed with our meetings that we have, even like whether it be the solar meetings or whether it be the legislative meetings that we've had. People behave in a civil manner, and I think that a lot more gets accomplished when that happens. And we've got enough craziness in our country. We don't need to promote that craziness. And people become very passionate about their opinion, and that's okay. Be passionate, but it doesn't have to result in a screaming match. And I've watched a couple of those online in different town hall meetings, and I don't know, probably when you look at the end result of that, absolutely nothing positive happened. So, I think most of the legislators, they understand that everybody doesn't agree with every decision that's being made. But we all have the ability next election to change that. So that's how our system works. And,
yeah, but they're putting themselves out there.
Yeah.
Whether nothing's accomplished or not, at least they're saying,
absolutely.
Here I am.
Yeah.
So, all right, what else going on with the schools? I know this is, I know the school system or the cities are partnering later this month for a prom mock
accident.
Mock accident.
Yeah.
That's going to be later this month.
Yeah.
Walk the Plank's coming up in May. I don't know if the registration started for that.
It's already started.
Yet? Okay.
Yep. And over the next few weeks, we'll be advertising out a little bit more. It's on prom Saturday.
Yep.
We'll have that activity out at the high school. All the proceeds from Walk the Plank go to our local school foundation, Greensburg Schools Foundation. We're very appreciative of that, and I think if you don't believe in that foundation, just look at where we've come and how much money we're going to be putting out. This year, every year it's grown. Giving now $5,000 scholarships to kids, and 4 of those, and increase the amounts that we're giving to our teacher grants. So, it's just all of those monies are coming right back, just like what we said they would, to the kids and to the teachers within our school district. And Walk the Plank is one of the few activities. We don't have a ton of fundraisers, don't want to have a ton of fundraisers, but this is one of our main, just to get our name out in the community and come out and support it. Is that May the whatever that Saturday is, the first Saturday there in May?
Might be the 3rd.
Yeah, I think that's when Walk the Plank is, but I'll again, over the next few weeks here, we'll get a lot more advertising. One of the things that we are doing in the month of May and April for Greensburg Schools is we are going to be pushing out a lot of different publicity on our school district, on the great things that are happening in Greensburg Schools. So just keep an eye out for that. We'll have over the next few weeks the building principals from each of our buildings coming in and talking to you about the great things that are happening this spring, wrapping up this school year. We will be starting here at the end of April, excuse me, the iLearn testing. That will be taking place here in the next few weeks. We have on April the 11th, we have our FFA banquet. That'll be at the high school at our ag building. Actually, it'll be at the elementary school where our ag building's located, but the high school FFA will be sponsoring the FFA banquet at 6:30. We also have our honors banquet that will be taking place in the high school cafeteria on Wednesday, April 16th. And then we have our junior high National Honor Society induction that's taking place Wednesday, April 30th at 7 p.m. So, we've got some honors honoring our academic students and some of the programming with our ag banquet for FFA taking place over the next few weeks. And all of that will be culminating with our graduation and prom and all of those things that are going to be happening in the month of May. So it's going to be a busy April and May for Greensburg Schools.
It always is.
It always is.
All right, Greensburg School Superintendent Tomm Hunter, anything else this morning?
We just got the joke of the day.
Man.
This is a good one.
All
This
right.
is a really good one, okay?
All right.
Why are most people tired on April 1st?
Why are most people tired on April 1st?
Which just happens to be today.
Right. Does it have to do with tread, or does it have to do with retired?
No.
I don't know.
They just finished a 31-day march.
Wow. Wow. I just walked into that one.
You did. You just walked right into it.
Makes me
Happy
look at
April
mine.
Fool's
Yeah.
Day to everyone, right?
All right. Greensburg School Superintendent Tomm Hunter. I believe State Senator Jean Lysing. I'll be talking with her coming up next on WTRE.